Welcome to the Deep Dive. We're here to unpack those really compelling stories from the world of innovation, pulling out the insights that matter.
That's the goal.
And today, we're diving headfirst into Africa. Well, imagine, bustling markets, the sounds, the energy.
Yeah, absolutely vibrant.
But underneath all that, there's this invisible lifeline. It connects families across continents, powers whole economies. We're talking about money sent home, remittances.
Exactly. It's huge. We're talking over $50 billion sent annually just by the African diaspora. And this isn't, spare change. It's vital. School fees, medical bills, starting businesses.
Crucial stuff.
Totally. But for so long, sending that money, it was painfully slow and incredibly expensive. Africa's still the most expensive place in the world to send money. Average fees around 8.5%, sometimes way higher, 15, even 30%.
30%. That's staggering.
It is. Picture it. Crowded bank halls, these neon sign money transfer shops, people just paying this huge toll to send their own hard-earned money back home.
And this wasn't just some abstract economic problem, right? It's personal. Take Stone at Wine. It's 2015, Kampala, Uganda.
Right.
Stone, he's a software guy, walks out of one of these remittance places. He's just paid a 15% fee. 15! To send money from Kenya to his own grandmother, who's 80 years old, in Uganda.
15%.
Ouch. And get this, it gets worse. His grandma then had to get on a bus just to collect the cash from the nearest agent. Stone just thought, this is unacceptable. I'm going to fix this.
And that feeling, that deep frustration, it was everywhere. Thousands of miles away, another light bulb moment. Iowa, believe it or not. Grinnell College, 2016.
Okay.
Hamsur and Yogi, young Ugandan student on scholarship. He tries to wire just $50, $50 from Iowa to Kampala.
How much did that cost?
The bank charged him $25 in fees.
Yeah.
Half the amount. And it was going to take a week to get there, a whole week.
Wow. Wow. That really shows you, doesn't it, how these huge innovations often come from solving a problem you feel right in your gut.
Exactly. It's that personal pain point becoming a global mission. For Ham and his friend, Mijid Mujaled from Ghana, that shock turned into an idea. That summer, they're on a road trip, SF to LA.
Classic startup origin story setting.
Totally. And they're thinking, what about a Venmo for Africa? Like, sending money should be as easy as sending a text message.
Right. Makes perfect sense. But the challenge, huge.
Immense. You've got 54 different currencies across the continent. Their big idea. Use crypto. Use mobile money. Make transfers fast, maybe even free. They knew the problem because they lived it. They wanted to build it for their families, for everyone back home.
So two distinct sparks, continents apart. Stone at Wine in Uganda, thinking about his grandmother.
Yeah, leading to Eversend.
And Ham and Majid on that California road trip.
Brainstorming what would become Chipper Cash.
One born in Silicon Valley thinking. The other, you could say, forged in the East African fintech trenches.
And suddenly, they're on a collision course. The prize. Dominating this massive $100 billion flow of payments in and around Africa.
It sets the stage for a real battle, doesn't it? Scrappy founders, huge ambitions, navigating all these regulatory minefields, trying to win people's trust.
It's got all the elements of a great business drama.
Absolutely. Now, before we really dig into this saga, just a quick note for you listening. This deep dive, it's put together carefully from publicly available information, news reports, company statements, public records. We aim to give you a balanced, impartial view of how this all unfolded.
Right. It's based on what's out there. Okay, so let's step back. How did we even get here? For decades, you had the big global banks, Western Union. They dominated remittances to Africa.
And here's to fortune for it.
Exactly. The highest fees globally.
Yeah.
Which is ironic because, as the African Development Bank points out, the diaspora is arguably Africa's biggest investor, sending more money back than traditional foreign aid or even investment from places like China or the U.S.
That's a powerful point.
But then things started shifting. Late 2010s. Mobile phones were taking off. Fintech was emerging. And M-Pesa in Kenya showed everyone, hey, you can move money with just a phone, no bank needed.
Right, M-Pesa was revolutionary.
Totally. But sending money between African countries, or from, say, London to Lagos, that was still this messy patchwork. Slow bank wires, costly middlemen, someone needed to connect the dots digitally across borders.
Enter Stone at Wine. He knew the system was, as he put it, disintegrated, expensive, inconvenient, and insecure.
That sums it up pretty well.
So 2017, he officially founds Eversend in Kampala with Ronald Kazindwa. And the vision wasn't just money transfer, it was way bigger.
What was the big picture?
A one-stop shop. a digital-only finance app for Africa. He called it an Amazon of financial services. Think multi-currency wallets, savings, lending, insurance. Basically, Africa's first real neobank, all digital, no branches, inspired by his grandma's bus trip.
That's incredibly ambitious for a brand new startup in that environment. A full neobank right out of the gate.
It really was. Meanwhile, what about Chipper Cash? How were they starting out?
Well, Ham Yogi and Meiji Mujaled, they shared this strong Pan-African vision. Ham actually left a good job at Facebook in 2018 to go all in on Chipper with Meiji.
That's a big leap.
Huge leap. Their mission was crystal clear. Make sending money as simple as sending a text. From day one, they offered free peer-to-peer transfers within Africa. Cut out the banks, got out the friction.
Free. How do you build a business on free?
That was the bold pitch to investors. Subsidize the free P2P transfers initially, build a massive user base, then make money on other things. Currency exchange spreads, merchant payments, business services, and eventually things like crypto trading.
Okay, so a classic Silicon Valley blitzscaling playbook. Get big fast, figure out monetization later.
Pretty much.
Mm.
And it worked, at least in terms of attracting capital. But both startups were tapping into this real hunger across the continent. Young population, rising smartphone use, mobile money agents becoming commonplace. People wanted better options.
The timing seemed right.
Definitely. And Eversend got this huge boost in late 2019. They won the Slush Startup Competition in Helsinki. Big international recognition. Stone was quoted saying, "We started Eversend to bring financial freedom to every African."
That's a powerful statement after winning a global competition.
It really resonated. And then they did something interesting with funding in 2020. Instead of just chasing VCs, they did equity crowdfunding on Seedrs in the UK.
So letting ordinary people invest.
Exactly. Lots of diaspora Africans jumped in. They hit their 550,000 target in just hours, ended up raising over $1 million from hundreds of small investors who believed in the vision. Stone kept saying, "We are not just a money transfer company."
Reinforcing that full financial home idea.
Precisely. Building that Swiss Army knife for the underserved, it showed real community backing. A different path.
A very different path from Chipper. While Eversend was crowdfunding $1 million,
Chipper was raising VC millions. They got $2.4 million in seed funding back in 2019 from names like 500 startups. Then the stakes got higher. Jeff Bezos' fund, Bezos Expeditions, came in.
Bezos, okay, that's serious validation.
Absolutely. Then a $30 million Series B in late 2020. And then the big one, 2021. A $150 million Series C extension, led by FTX, the crypto exchange that was flying high at the time.
FTX, foreshadowing perhaps.
We'll get to that. But that round valued Chipper at over $2 billion, a unicorn.
So let's get the scale here. By 2022, Eversend has raised maybe $1.7 million?
Roughly, yeah. Bootstrapped and crowdfunded mostly.
And Chipper has banked over $300 million.
Well over that, yeah. A massive war chest. It set up this incredible David versus Goliath dynamic, even though both were technically Davids compared to the old guard.
The race was definitely on. But like you said, having the money is one thing. Winning across Africa is another beast entirely.
Exactly. And the biggest battleground, Nigeria.
Right. Africa's largest economy, huge remittance market, something like $17 billion in 2020 alone. You had to win Nigeria. How did they each go about it?
Very differently. Kyrgyz went for the direct high-resource attack. They spent months navigating the bureaucracy, dealing with the Central Bank of Nigeria to get their own IMTO license, at the International Money Transfer Operator license you need.
Sounds like a headache.
Oh, definitely. But when they got it, it was a big moment. Han was like, "Nigeria, here we come." They poured resources into launching their...
And Eversend, with their smaller budget.
Had to be leaner, smarter. Stone focused on partnerships. He cut deals with existing Nigerian fintechs and payment processors. Leveraged this network of like 30-plus integration partners across the continent. Stone used to say, in Africa, every single feature is a new integration.
So building on top of what was already there rather than building everything from scratch in each market.
Exactly. It was maybe slower to get started in some ways, but more capital efficient. By 2021, Eversend was live in Nigeria too, plus about half a dozen other countries, often quietly through these partnerships.
Okay, so let's look at the scoreboard around, say, late 2021, early 2022. Where did they stand?
Chipper was in about 7 African countries: Ghana, Uganda, Nigeria, Tanzania, Rwanda, South Africa, Kenya, plus the key diaspora hubs, the US and UK. They were claiming over 5 million users.
Impressive numbers.
Very. Offering those instant, often fee-free transfers. Great app, slick design, linked right into mobile money wallets, which is key in Africa. They were spending heavily on marketing and promotions fueled by that VC cash.
And Eversend.
Also in about 7 countries, including some francophone ones via partners.
Yeah.
User numbers were smaller, maybe around 400,000 by the end of 2022. But here's the thing. Their transaction volume was exploding. Went from processing $5 million in 2020 to $230 million by 2022.
Wow, that's massive growth on a much smaller user base. What were people using Eversend for?
Everything. That's the Swiss Army knife idea.
Yeah.
Holding multiple currencies, 9 of them, getting good FX rates, sending to mobile money or banks, buying airtime, paying bills. They even had crypto and savings plans early on.
So maybe fewer users, but those users were doing a lot more on the platform.
That seems to be the case. And crucially, Eversend managed to hit profitability in 2021. They proved their lean, multi-product model could actually make money, even without hundreds of millions in funding.
That's a really important distinction. So chipper, hypergrowth, user numbers, VC funding, classic growth hacking, Eversend, product depth, efficiency, profitability, building a loyal base around an all-in-one app.
That sums up the playbooks pretty well. But the market doesn't stand still, right? By 2022, just sending money wasn't enough.
The arms race began.
Pretty much. Both companies started frantically adding features, trying to lock users in, find new revenue streams, become that indispensable super app.
Like what were the key battlegrounds in terms of features?
Multi-currency wallets were core. Eversend had this from the start. A Nigerian user in France could hold euros, naira, Ugandan shillings, all in one app. Chipper caught up by integrating deeply with mobile money wallets in each country to enable similar functionality.
Okay, what else? Virtual cards seem big everywhere now.
Huge, especially for online payments. Eversend launched virtual Visa cards in US dollars pretty early. Imagine you're a freelancer in Kenya needing to pay for a US software subscription boom, generate a USD card.
Super useful.
Chipper followed quickly with their own Chipper card, also Visa, aiming for everyday use, linking digital life to real-world spending.
And then crypto. That
Yeah.
seemed unavoidable in 2021.
Totally. Crypto fever was sweeping Africa. Chipper jumped in big, adding Bitcoin and other crypto trading right in the app. They claim to be one of the biggest crypto platforms in Africa.
They even added stocks, right? Fractional shares.
Yeah, that was a bold move. Allowing someone in Uganda to buy like $5 worth of Tesla or Apple stock, really democratizing access, in theory.
Did Eversend get into crypto too?
They did, but maybe more cautiously. They partnered with Binance, the big global exchange, in 2022 to explore integrations. Both saw the demand, especially among young Africans looking for investment alternatives or ways around currency controls.
It sounds exhausting just listing all these features. Was it purely about one-upping each other, or was there a deeper strategy?
It's definitely a mix. Part of it is survival. Fintech users can be fickle. If a competitor offers a slightly better rate or a cool new feature, they might switch. So you need to keep adding value.
Trying to become the app they use every day.
Exactly. The daily habit app. The one you use for your salary, your bills, your savings, maybe even groceries eventually. The goal is to become so embedded in their financial life that leaving is just too much hassle. The super app dream
But the upside for consumers.
was immense. This competition drove real innovation. Suddenly, Africans had access to financial tools and choices they'd never had before. That Lagos coder investing on Wall Street, the Ugandan traveler booking a hotel in Paris with a virtual USD card. That wasn't possible just a few years earlier.
So competition really did chip away at the old, expensive ways of doing things.
Absolutely, it empowered people. But this rapid expansion, adding all these complex features, it wasn't easy.
No, I imagine the operational side must have been intense, especially across so many different countries.
Oh, incredibly. You're not just launching an app. You're dealing with 55 different African countries, potentially, each with its own central bank, its own rules on foreign exchange, data privacy, licensing. It's a regulatory minefield.
How did they cope with that? Stone at Wine mentioned regulations being a huge challenge.
He did. He often talked about prohibitive regulators and archaic rules. Eversend frequently had to navigate getting approvals from central banks that sometimes seemed to favor the established local banks. Their partnership model probably helped spread that burden a bit.
And Shipper, with more resources.
They often took a more direct approach, acquiring licenses themselves, which takes time and money, or sometimes acquiring local companies that already had the licenses they needed, like they did with Zuna in Zambia, to get an agent network and specific licenses there.
But even they weren't immune.
Not at all. They faced hurdles, too. Like in 2020, Nigeria's central bank suddenly changed the rules, mandating that remittances had to be paid out in U.S. dollars, not naira. That forced a big, quick pivot for companies like Chipper. You had to stay agile.
And it wasn't just rules. The actual economies were turbulent too, right? Currencies fluctuated.
Hugely important factor. 2021, 2022. You had the Nigerian naira under pressure, the Ethiopian birr struggling, Ghana facing a debt crisis. You'd think that might hurt these apps.
But maybe the opposite.
Kind of. When local economies wobble, families rely even more on money sent from relatives abroad. Remittances actually surged, hitting nearly $100 billion for Africa in 2023. They became even more essential than foreign aid in many places.
So these apps became absolute lifelines.
Exactly. There were stories, someone in London losing their job during COVID, but still being able to send a few £100s home instantly via Chipper. The low fees meant more money actually arrived, keeping a small family business afloat back home. The contrast was stark.
Yeah.
Days and 5–10% fees versus minutes and maybe 0–1% fees.
That's a world of difference when every dollar counts. No wonder digital payments were projected to soar.
Right. But all this success starts attracting attention from the incumbents, the big players.
The Western unions of the world.
Yeah. They weren't just going to roll over. Some launched their own apps, some lobbied regulators.
Yeah.
And some decided if you can't beat them, join them.
Ah, the partnership angle again.
Yeah.
Exactly. Big moment in July 2025. Western Union partners with Chipper Cash, starting in Zambia. They integrated Western Union's global network into the Chipper app.
So a Chipper user in Zambia could now send money virtually anywhere via Western Union without leaving the app.
Precisely. No more walking into a physical shop. It was huge. It showed these fintech Davids had grown so much that even Goliath saw the value in collaborating. A real sign of maturity in the ecosystem.
But just as things seemed to be maturing, the weather changed globally, right? The fintech winter?
Yeah, late 2022. The easy venture capital money just dried up.
Yeah.
Suddenly, investors got cautious. Growth at all costs wasn't the mantra anymore. Profitability, sustainability, that became the focus.
And Chipper, having raised so much and scaled so fast, they must have felt that acutely.
Oh, definitely. They'd grown to over 450 employees, operating across multiple continents, then bam, November 2022.
The FTX collapse.
The FTX collapse. Their lead investor from that massive $150 million round just imploded in scandal. Suddenly, a key backer is gone. And then reports surfaced that FTX had internally marked down Chipper's valuation from $2 billion to $1.25 billion even before the collapse.
Oof, that had to hurt confidence. The unicorn status suddenly looked shaky.
Big time. Alarms must have been ringing. Hamster and Ogi had to have some tough conversations. There's a somber all-hands Zoom call. And then the painful part, layoffs.
How bad was it?
4 rounds within about a year, starting early 2023. They cut roughly a third of their workforce. It was a really humbling moment for this African tech darling.
Shows incredible pressure, but also a test of leadership, right?
Absolutely. And it was very clear. He said something like, challenges like this, you either learn and get stronger or you quit. Meiji and I will never quit.
They had to make hard choices.
Like what? What did they change?
They cut non-core projects, pulled back from some less profitable markets, and really focused their resources on the strongholds. Nigeria, Ghana, Kenya, Uganda. Doubling down. Did they have to start charging more? You mentioned the free transfers.
They did. Mid-2023, they started introducing small fees on some P2P routes that used to be free. Still way cheaper than the old ways, but yeah, the completely free ride was over. They needed sustainable revenue.
So Chipper was going through this major adjustment. What about Eversend? How did the fintech winter hit them?
It was different for them because they'd always been lean. There wasn't really any fat to trim. Their challenge was more about staying relevant and continuing to grow when rivals still had more funding, even post-FTX.
Did they face funding issues too?
They did have a scare. A planned venture round they were counting on reportedly fell through in 2022 because of the market downturn. That could have been disastrous.
But their earlier focus saved them.
It seemed so, because they had already prioritized sustainability, operating close to break-even or even profitably. They weren't desperate for cash in the same way. They could weather the storm better. It really validated their lean, diversified strategy.
So it wasn't really a head-to-head shouting match, but more a test of endurance. Who could execute and survive?
Exactly. It was about resilience. And by 2024, both had made it through the worst. Leaner, definitely wiser, but still very much in the game.
Okay, so let's fast forward to now, roughly mid-2025. What's the landscape look like? Where do Chipper and Eversend stand?
Well, Chipper is still arguably the market leader in terms of sheer user numbers and brand recognition, especially with the diaspora. over 5 million users, now in about 21 countries.
Still growing their reach then.
Yeah, but the focus is clearly on sustainable growth now. Those modest fees are in place, and they're innovating in new areas. They spun out their compliance tech into a B2B product called Chipper ID, basically selling their anti-fraud and verification tools to other businesses.
Interesting diversification. And that Western Union partnership is still active.
Seems to be expanding. It shows Chipper evolving, becoming part of the infrastructure, bridging old and new financial worlds.
And Eversend, the neobank.
Still proudly holding that title. There are over 500,000 users now across 8+ countries. Steady growth. And the key thing is, users seem highly engaged, using the app for lots of different things, not just sending money. That likely means higher revenue per user.
And they're still lean.
Remarkably so. Still operating with a small, efficient team, maybe 20, 30 people. It's impressive. Stone is quietly building alliances, looking particularly at Francophone West Africa, maybe seeing opportunities where Chipper pulled back slightly. They're really cementing that one-stop financial hub position for their users.
And the whole ecosystem around them has matured too.
Definitely. You've got initiatives like the African Continental Free Trade Area pushing for easier cross-border business, and things like PSS, the Pan-African Payment and Settlement System.
What does PTSS do?
It's trying to link up central banks, commercial banks, and fintechs across Africa so payments can be settled faster and in local currencies, reducing reliance on dollars or euros for intra-African trade. Both Chipper and Eversend were early participants plugging into that network.
And governments, are they more welcoming now?
Generally, yes. I mean, there are always complexities, but largely, governments now see these fintech innovators as vital partners for financial inclusion, for formalizing economies, for driving integration. They're not just disruptors anymore. They're critical infrastructure.
Which brings us back to the impact on everyday people.
Which is the most important part, right? Fees dropping from maybe 10% down to 1% or even less. Transfers taking seconds instead of days. That's transformational.
It really is. That woman in Lagos sending money instantly to her mom in Nairobi. Stone at Wine's grandmother getting support right on her phone. No bus trip needed.
Those aren't just anecdotes. They represent millions of stories. Kids staying in school because fees arrived on time. Entrepreneurs getting small amounts of capital quickly. Families being more resilient because help is just a few taps away. It's profound human impact.
So looking back at this whole journey, what are the big takeaways for, say, entrepreneurs or strategists listening to this?
Several things jump out. First, just sheer founder resilience. Ham Saranjogi steering Chipper through the FTX fallout. Stone at Wine sticking to his vision through years of being lean. That determination is crucial.
And the different strategies?
Fascinating contrast. Chipper's VC-fueled blitzscaling versus Eversend's focus on product depth and profitability from day one. The lesson? There's no single right way to build a successful company, even in the same market. Both approaches worked in their own way.
Adaptability seems key too.
Absolutely. Navigating those regulations, the economic shocks, he had to be flexible. And the power of partnerships Eversend relied on them heavily. And even Chipper eventually embraced it with Western Union. You can't always do everything alone.
And staying focused on the user?
Always. Both kept adding features that solved real pain points. They didn't just build tech for tech's sake. And sticking to that core mission, that North Star, even when things got incredibly tough.
It feels like Chipper and Eversend have really carved out a legacy, haven't they?
Undeniably. They proved African entrepreneurs could tackle huge African problems with world-class solutions. They navigated incredible complexity, cultural, linguistic, regulatory. They fundamentally changed the story of African business from one of just potential to one of real, impactful innovation.
And the rivalry itself seems like it pushed both to be better.
Healthy competition often does. Chipper's scale probably pushed Eversend to keep sharpening its edge. Eversend's multi-product approach maybe kept Chipper from getting complacent, forcing them to broaden their offerings too. You sense there's respect there, built on that shared goal of empowering Africans.
Ham mentioned their North Star ambition hadn't changed. Stone talks about the mind-bogglingly huge market in Africa. They're both still looking forward.
Definitely, the drive is still there.
So the big question, who wins this battle for Africa's cross-border wallet?
You know, maybe that's the wrong question. Is it a winner-take-all market? Africa is vast. 55 countries, over 1 billion people. It's probably big enough for multiple winners.
Different players dominating different niches, maybe, or different regions.
Exactly. Or maybe, as we saw with the Western Union deal, the future involves more cooperation, more integration between players, old and new. The lines might blur.
What seems certain is that the old way, the slow, expensive way, is gone for good.
Permanently changed. The Chipper versus Eversend story, it's a really key chapter in Africa's financial transformation. It brought drama, innovation, and real substance. It showed the world. Africa's future is being built by Africans solving African problems.
It really makes you think, doesn't it? What does a story like this mean for tackling big challenges in your own field? How can that kind of focused, user-driven innovation, spurred by competition, change things? The solutions, like for Stone and Ham, might be closer than we think, rooted in our own experiences.
That's a powerful thought to end on. It truly is a story worth its weight in mobile money.
You've been listening to Empire and Legacy, African Business Chronicles. Our hosts are Zuri Mwangi and Kwame Adeyemi. If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to follow us on LinkedIn, WhatsApp, X, Instagram, and YouTube. All links are in the show notes. Subscribe to the podcast on Spotify, Apple, or your favorite podcast platform, and share this episode with fellow business leaders. Main episodes are released each Monday. Our hosts delve deeper into the CEOs at the helm on Wednesdays. On Thursdays, we explore the global perspectives, the standout businesses and CEOs, emerging trends, and geopolitical developments, presenting both risk and opportunity.